Think Local in 2022. And today we have asked Becca Goldsberry with Southwestern Consulting to join us today so that we could get the year kicked off right. Becca came highly recommended as the perfect fit for this topic because we know as business professionals, we often are so busy working in our businesses and keeping it going that we often don't take the time to work on our businesses, different things that we can do that will help the productivity of ourselves and growth of our business. So we are excited to get some practical tips and advice that we can take with us to have a great year. So with that, Becca represents Southwestern Consulting, the professional training and coaching division of the Southwestern Company, the oldest direct selling company in the country. Becca is married to Michael, has a toddler named Thaddeus, and a teenage stepdaughter, Caitlin. She has her bachelor's degree from Concordia University and a master's degree from the University of Louisville. She is an avid Indianapolis Colts fan and a big Jimmy Buffett fan too. You will see her raising money for cancer research and volunteering with her junior league chapter. She has been a senior sales director for a sales team of over 300 team members and was in the top 50 in personal sales out of 10,000 people. She has been a top producer in the business development with a nationally recognized company, increasing new business sales 170%. Becca has also worked with her family's five businesses. She chose to be a coach because of her passion to help others see their potential, pursue their dreams and goals in life. Becca is committed to helping people to believe in their ultimate potential in life and inspires them to live a life of excellence, joy, and success. Becca is here to share techniques with us that will help us become more effective in our businesses and to preview Southwestern Consulting's amazing coaching programs. Welcome, Becca Goldsberry.
Thank you, Cammie. That was fabulous. That was fantastic. That was just the way I wrote it. Nicely done. Thank you so much. I am excited to be here with all of you today. And I know that your time is very valuable. And so what we do at Southwestern Coaching is we help elevate the practice and perception of sales. And we also help leaders to really help themselves and their teams take it to the next level. So what I want us to do to go ahead and start is I want us to really dig in and really quickly think about our goals that we have set for 2022. And I'm sure most of us started off the year with maybe some pretty big goals. But here's the thing. Do we really have control of our results? We really don't, do we? We don't have direct control of our results, but we can influence it. And this is the secret of all top producers and all business owners. And there are three things that we ultimately have control over that can have a pretty massive impact on our results and on the growth of our business. So what I would love for each of you to do is take a piece of paper and I want you to draw a triangle. And let's talk about the three controllables that we want to be able to focus in on to be able to hit our goals. And we're going to talk about one of these areas for today. And think of these as your building blocks, things that you want to focus your attention on. At Southwestern Consulting, we call this the habits triangle. And we're going to talk about the habits that you can control. So the first controllable on the right side of the triangle, write the word skills. And this is your technical skill set. So when you think of the word skills, what does this mean to your business? Has anybody ever needed to lead somebody to make a decision? Has anybody ever needed to ask for referrals or to grow your business, to close, to overcome objections, to have crucial conversations with people? Have you ever had to make a good first impression, whether on the phone, in person, or via Zoom? These are all skill sets. So these are learnable, trainable, teachable skill sets. We teach them in coaching. We have a lot of clients who come to us and say, man, Becca, I need to be better with social media, or I need to ask for more referrals. I know I need to ask for referrals, but I'm not really asking for them. Or I'm having great conversations with people, but I'm not winning a lot of their business. So, one of the questions I always ask, especially for those who are top producers or been in the business a long time, is when was the last time you made time to tweak, hone, or perfect a skill set? So, that's the first area. We always need to be creating great habits. The second is our motivation. And, sometimes, so we've got the skill and we have the will, and this is actually something you can control. You have to find all the time new ways to improve your technical skill set, but you've got to stay motivated too. A lot of times we see people who are super motivated. They can, make 1,000 calls a day, but their skill set, because their skill set isn't quite where it needs to be, they're not growing business like they should be. Or vice versa, where we see people who are really, really skilled, but because they're just really happy with where they are, or maybe just complacent in their business, they're just kind of stuck in the same situation year after year. And so our business is reflective of that. And a lot of times it's like a roller coaster of results. So the whole idea is developing consistency in these two areas. Zig Ziglar used to say, motivation is like bathing. We need one every day. So when you can connect your vision with your day-to-day activity, you literally can become an unstoppable force. You become inspired and fearless. So the third area that we need to create great habits is our systems. And this is where we're going to spend our time today, is talking about this one. And systems include setting goals, your follow-up, your time management, having a balanced lifestyle, accountability, creating an effective schedule, utilizing all the tools you have at your disposal, knowing how to work your business more effectively and efficiently. Really, this is the difference of kind of going through the motion and then really being seen as a true professional with what you do. I will tell you right here, this is probably the number one reason why a lot of people work with us. It's like how Farah Shaw, she said, Becca, I need systems. I have a business. I've been doing this a long time. I'm motivated, but I'm not completely organized. I don't have structure. I don't have balance. I work all the time and there's not enough hours in the day. I need to do with more with less time. How do I do that? Anybody else feel like that sometimes? Yeah. And so what really ties these three areas together is our habits. And so in the middle of the triangle, write the word habits, because without good habits in these three areas, nothing else works, does it? I could teach you all the skill sets in the world. I could be the best motivational speaker you would ever see. I could be the female version of Tony Robbins. I could show you how to manage your calendar like Stephen Covey ever could. But if we don't work on the implementation of these things until they become habits, what do you think is going to happen 2 weeks from today? Nothing, right? It just doesn't work. I mean, we've all been to tons of trainings, but unless we create the habit of implementation, nothing's going to change. The problem for the most of us is sometimes we just don't have anybody holding us accountable to doing the things that we know we need to do until they become habits. So what I really want us to do is just be open-minded today. And because what I'm going to talk about are things that people really have a hard time with changing, right? And this is where we come in as a company, as your accountability partners. And so as we take a look of all these techniques, all these concepts, I really want you to ask yourself, am I doing well in these areas? Or could I use somebody to maybe help me get there? Do I have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Do I believe that I can learn to do anything that anybody else can? Or do I believe maybe I'm just kind of stuck here? Okay. So the first thing that I want you guys to do, and in the chat, I put my cell phone. So if you didn't text me your name, first and last name, go ahead, text me your first and last name. But I also want you guys to text me your number. So we all know that, and what I want you to do is I want you to rate yourselves. On a scale of 1 to 10, a 10 is somebody who is on fire, who plans their week out every Sunday, who wakes up Monday, execute it all week long. You're proactive, you're not reactive. They're not constantly stuck in their emails, they're consistent, you get the idea. And a 1 is someone who is reactive and not proactive. They have good intention, somebody who has an idea of what they want, sort of knows how to get to where they need to go to hit their goals and where they want to be. But when they wake up, they go straight into reactive mode. And maybe it's the first thing that you do is you check your emails while you're still in bed in the mornings, or consistently wondering why aren't you where you want to be? And you feel like you're just working so hard, right? That's a 1. So I want you to rate yourself from a 1 to 10 and text me at 812-521-4574, your number. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? So we'll go ahead. Okay, we're kind of all over the board here. Yeah, we've got some 6s and some 5s, and we got an 8, a couple 7s, a 3. Okay, so text me where you are. Okay, these are good. 4s. Yeah, awesome. Perfect. Now I want you to ask yourself, if you're not a 10 most days, what is that costing you? And notice I said what and not how much. For some of you, it's costing you money, a lot of money. Maybe you probably got into the business because you can make a lot of money and control your income. But for others, maybe it's costing you a goal or a dream, the lifestyle you can create. It's costing you the chance for maybe to pay for your kids' education so they can graduate debt free, or the dream house that you and your spouse or partner have always talked about, a vacation home, a family trip to Bora Bora. But yet, for a lot of you, the cost is guilt. And here's what I mean. Most of you can probably relate to this. It's that guilty feeling that you have nagging at you because maybe you're not hitting your fullest potential. The guilt that maybe when you're home, you're always on your laptop or on your cell phone. You're trying to answer emails, get paperwork done because you didn't have time to get it done during the day. So you got to get it done at night so you can be productive the next day. And then you've got kids or family members, spouses or partners saying, hey, can you put that thing down because you're always on it? Can it wait? And so you feel guilty, but you need to get it done. Or it's the nights where we're working late or running late and we've canceled dinners, we've missed kids' games, or something more important came up. That is not working. That is what not working as a 10 is. And that's what it's costing you. So you have to ask yourself, if you're not a 10 most days, what is it costing you? Does it give you that feeling on the inside that you can say, I can do better? I don't always want it to be like this, Becca. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to do this. Because if you start your week and your day with a plan, and you clearly know what it looks like to be living out your schedule, what do you still have to do? We still have to do it, right? And so what we're going to focus in on, there's always 3 habits of top producers that we always talk about. And so for time's sake, I'm going to talk about the last one. But the first one is top producers always find a way and not an excuse. Top producers always find, or their students have their game. But third, they take action now. And this is where we're going to hone in. Because what is the most expensive invisible cost in business? You guys can text me or put it in the chat, or you can even unmute yourself. But does anybody have a guess? What is the most expensive invisible cost in business? Anybody know? And welcome to everybody who's hopped on.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Timing was off. I was going to say inactivity.
Inactivity? Yeah, you're pretty darn close.
Okay.
It's
Procrastination. Yes.
Yeah. procrastination, AKA we call it creative avoidance. So by show of hands, how many of us know that we procrastinate on at least one thing in our life? One area in our life, there's something we always procrastinate on. Okay, so at least half. So the other half, you guys will raise your hand here in a few minutes then. But the problem is worse than that. We've identified a couple types of procrastination, but the worst one is what we call creative avoidance. And creative avoidance is unconsciously filling the day with trivial work, things that need to get done, but they're not income producing activities. The reason why it's so dangerous is because it's the easiest one to justify ourselves. Creative avoidance is like, oh, I have this plan, but you know what? I want to go ahead and do this over here instead. For instance, say you've carved out time to make some calls or to follow up with some clients, but something else caught your attention, or a meeting went long and it just ran into that call time and you decided not to make calls at all. Or you have a list to call, but you start cherry picking your list, and maybe you ran and saw the name Betty and you say, man, I don't like the name Betty. I don't want to call Betty today. We find all kinds of reasons and excuses why we don't do these income producing activities. You should be making calls, setting up appointments with clients or referral partners, but oops, an email just came through and I should probably check my emails instead of making some calls. That's creative avoidance. So the likelihood of us doing things we know we should be doing to move the business forward is unlikely at that point. So, and how do we get past that is understanding what we call Lodi, or the law of diminishing intent. And what happens when we don't take action on the most important things that we need to do, we fall victim to this. And the law of diminishing intent just simply states, as time goes on, we are less likely to take action on our most important intention. Lodi is procrastination. Lodi is killing salespeople's business and business owners' business. What are some of the activities that you need to be doing to grow your business? But maybe you're not doing them enough or not at all. Jot those down. What are the things that you are procrastinating on that you need to create the habit to start doing? Go ahead, take a second to write those down. And I want you to ask yourself, I want you to get out of your comfort zone and ask yourself, am I procrastinating? What am I procrastinating on? Because we all do it. We all procrastinate. So just get really real and really raw with yourself right now. Jot those down. Because guys, this is about forming the habit of getting out of your own way. You have to learn how to take action on the things that matter most when it's time to take action. I mean, we've all seen clients who do this, right? When they do it to you, how does that feel? It's your business, in your business, in your life. Why are we doing it to ourselves? So how do top producers really overcome procrastination? How do they do that? Well, one, they really know their income producing activities. And we're going to talk about how we can incorporate this in our schedule. And what we do in coaching is we help people lock in those income producing activities, and it looks different for every business. Sometimes it's making calls for people. Sometimes it's having conversations and appointments. So what are the activities that you need to do to consistently move the needle in your business, regardless of what emergencies come up? So they have to know their IPAs, not the beer guys, but their income producing activities. And so we need to create intention in our calendars to be able to do that. And what ends up happening a lot of times is sometimes those fires, they just put themselves out, right? Okay, I cannot cover everything you need to know about time management in the next, 20, 25 minutes. However, have you felt as if you worked as hard as you possibly could work? Yet in the end, you didn't get the results you felt you should have. If the goal is to take your career to the next level and you can't work any harder, what is the only solution? We have to work smarter, right? So, and what does working smart mean? Working smart means utilizing the most valuable asset we have, time. According to Mort Utley, this is my favorite quote. Mort Utley says, time is the most precious thing God has ever given us in the material world. I can waste $1 and I can replace it. I could damage or destroy a piece of property and I can rebuild it or repair it, and I can make it whole. But if I waste 1 hour of time, there is nothing I can do about it for the rest of my life. It is gone forever. And so coaching and training over 18,000 professionals across the world, it has actually brought us the realization that most people don't have a problem with working hard. Prospecting and time management are literally the two areas that 95% of all salespeople or business owners would say that would take their business to the next level. Working smart is working efficiently and effectively with every second of your day. Because everyone in the world, whether you're Elon Musk or the president of the United States or Joe Schmo down the street, has an even playing field when it comes to the amount of time allotted to be successful. It's what literally separates the champs from the chumps. And it's basically what is done with that most precious asset, time. So we're going to dive in to really figuring out, what does this look like? Because if you don't know what your ideal week looks like, you're never going to have one. And it doesn't matter the amount of busy work that you fill it throughout the week. If we say, oh, I'll get to it, and we don't plan our day, typically we're not going to do it. A lot of people have these great to-do lists, but if we don't allot time and actually schedule it in our schedule, a lot of times it just gets done. It just gets pushed down the list. And if you ever look at your to-do list, a lot of times it's the easier things that we do first. And it's the bigger items that take a lot of time that never get done because we just kind of keep pushing it down the list. So if we don't schedule our week, this is what it looks like. It's a wreck. It's a boat wreck, right? And I'm sure we've all been there. We've all had those weeks where it's Friday and we're like, what did I even get accomplished this week? So I'm going to share the next slide. I'm going to share with you. It's okay if you get a little anxious or a little anxiety when you look at this, but just breathe. I promise it's going to be okay. So here is a sample ideal schedule. Now, like I said, some of you, this is probably giving you anxiety, but this is the real moneymaker. Excuse me. I know we've all seen something like this before, but this is where it's at. And it's okay. Everybody's is a little different. This guy, David, he's really great. I mean, you can literally see where he's resting, where he's doing appointments, where he's driving, when he's going to the YMCA and playing basketball, when he's talking to clients, when he's driving. He's literally taking time for everything in his schedule. He's even got when he's helping his wife, Layla, in the mornings, when they're winding down at nights. So are we planning out our week? I have a client, David McKean, and he said, right now I have to be more dialed in, more intentional with my schedule than ever before in my 20-year career. He's a Wells Fargo advisors, and he goes, I just have to be spot on. He goes, because I want to work less and make more. How do I do that? And really it's focusing back in on your schedule. Does your schedule have to be like this? Absolutely not. A lot of times people look at this and say, my schedule can never be like that. So they don't even try. And let me give you an example. I have another coaching client, Cliff, who's been in coaching for a couple of years, and he needed help. And he said, Becca, I work way too much. I'm a workaholic. I'm a nutcase. I need help getting it together. I can't do this whole calendar thing. He's like, it doesn't work. I've done it with the Todd Duncan program and the core coaching program. This time blocking thing does not work for me. So, however, if you ask him now, he can't live without his calendar, but it looks nothing like this. He literally picks 6 hours a week at the beginning of his week to make time to reach out to clients and to his realtors. And those are dedicated. Those don't get moved. Those are dedicated time. And then he's got time for working with his team. And then the rest of the time is how he needs to plan out rest of the week. But he literally has about 10 hours that are non-negotiable. So my point is, it doesn't have to look like this. As long as you have dedicated time carved out for your income producing activities, that's all that matters. Because how much is it costing you by not being proactive each week with your schedule, by missing out on prospecting time or calling time or working with the team? How much time is being wasted during the day, and then in the evening you're just playing catch up? Then you're missing out on family time and things that you love to do. So we have to make sure that we are punching in and punching out every day. And so what I mean by that is, if I was watching you, or say maybe a parent or somebody you admire the most is watching you, would you be excited that what we see, what you're doing every day, would it get you fired, if you were, had the time clock, or maybe you are on the time clock, but are you as productive as it needs to be? Because when we're not productive as we need to be, it typically ends up looking like this. I know I felt that this way before, right? We're stressed, we're overloaded, we're overwhelmed, we're behind the 8 ball. People feel like they're failing, they're drowning, they've got a lot of guilt, right? And what we really want is to be feeling like this, right? This is what we want to feel like. So here's a couple ideas to be able to help you create intention within your schedule. Okay. So the first is, and there are 3 ways that people lose time. They don't know where they're going next. So we really need to make sure, are we planning out our week? Are we really creating a great schedule? Second, Oprah was wrong in the 80s when she said multitasking is fabulous. Multitasking might be fabulous if you're a mom. Trust me, I have kids. I get it. Multitasking at home is good, but in business, it's not so great because we divert our attention and focus on too many activities at once. And so then some things are just half done correctly, or it's not as great. So if we can focus on one activity at a time, we actually get better results. And the third way that people lose time is we just get burnt out. We just get tired, fatigued. It slows us down. We get grumpy. If you don't protect your time, you will become burnout. I know I've been there before. How many of you guys been there before? We all have, right? So one of the things that we find super helpful is every client, whether they're a CEO, a salesperson, a assistant, executive assistant, whatever position within the company that you're working, everybody needs to have a CEO day every week, right? So one of my clients, Nick Drew, and he's in New Hampshire, he has Fridays as his CEO days. He literally works Monday through Thursday, maybe 8 to 10 hours a day. And the Fridays are more of a relaxed day where he's working from home a lot. And he literally is goal planning, working on his vision, doing CEO tasks, having one-on-one with team members and leaders, reviewing his business. He's really strategizing for the growth of the business. doing a lot of things that maybe he's got on his to-do items that he didn't get done throughout the week, so he can get those done on Friday. So the weekend is family time. Do you have time each week set aside for CEO time? That's what I call it, at least. And it might not need a whole day, but maybe it's just an hour or two. Maybe it's 30 minutes. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. So are we planning? Are we being proactive on what we need to do? Sometimes on the back end. It's super important. So what do we need to schedule within our week? And maybe you haven't even thought that these things need planned out. So in your schedule, sometimes people need to plan out flex time. A lot of people call this their fire time or emergency time, but to keep it positive, we always call it flex time, times to deal with emergencies or client issues, time to check emails. Yes, did you realize you can schedule time to do emails? Emails do not have, if it's an emergency, somebody will text or call you for the most part. You can schedule 2, 3, or 4 times to be able to check emails throughout the day. Are you planning time for or scheduling time for planning? Are you planning time to do lunch or to do meals? Or do you need a 10, 15-minute break throughout the day to go take a walk and clear your head? If you have appointments, are you planning your drive time in your week? What are you doing within those drive times to make it productive? Are you calling people back? Are you listening to an audible.com book? Are you listening to a podcast? Are you making your drive time money-making time? Because you can. Are you planning time for exercise? What about date night? What about family nights? Are you planning your social time with friends? One of the things that my husband and I have been doing for the last 3 years since we've had Thad, he's 3 now, is really being very intentional in date nights because it's super important. And if we can't get out somewhere, at least a couple nights where it's just him and I having great conversations for 30 minutes a night, right? So, because with kids, you're running everywhere and things in life just get crazy, but they're super important. Same thing with family night. I've got clients who once a week, they'll do family board nights or something that they'll go do with the family just to bond or just to have conversations. Are you planning what time we're going to bed? What time we need to wake up? Are we taking time for our faith and jotting those things down? What about taking time for gratitude, journaling? All those things we got to make sure are in our schedule, because what we need to make sure we're developing is our goals. And so when we create great intention with those goals, we're planning out all those income producing ideas in our schedule. And so make sure we've got our right activity, we're planning it out. And then when we're doing that, we are literally building ourselves. We are literally developing better habits, being able to be less stressed, and just living a life we fully love at that point. So one of the exercises here that I want to do with you guys, so hopefully you guys have a calculator, but I want you to figure out, what is your time worth? So for example, let's say, and everybody's got the formula here, so I want you guys to go ahead and do this. So let's say you earned $100,000 last year and you worked 48 weeks per year because you got 2 weeks vacation and maybe 2 weeks of personal time and holidays and all those things. And let's say you work 40 hours a week. That means you earn $52.08 an hour or 87 cents a minute. Knowing this information is certainly going to help you from wasting time. Now, because you're not going to be driving across town for an appointment unless you have confirmed it and pre-qualified, because if that trip and prep time took you, let's say 3 hours, so we've prepped for the meeting, we drive over there, and it takes about 3 hours because of prep time and getting everything ready and the drive over. And let's just say the prospect or the person you went to go talk to, for some reason, canceled on you, you literally just lost $156.24. On top of that, you lost the opportunity of using that time on a qualified prospect that may have earned you a lot more than $156. People always tell us they want to be worth more than $100 an hour, and yet they spend so much time, they waste so much time during the day. Because if you knew you were making $100 an hour, would wasting an hour a day, let's just say 10 hours a week, because on average, people waste 2 hours a day. That is 48 hours a month, or $4,000 a month. Would that bother you? That's $48,000 a year you flushed down the toilet because we were wasting our time. We weren't proactive with really creating that ideal schedule. Crazy to think about, isn't it? So, as a quick little recap, here are the 5 things that we highly suggest. If you take away anything from today, remember your ideal schedule, it's your template to use to plan your actual week. Make sure we're identifying what are those things that I have to do and put them in the schedule. Make sure the schedule is something that everybody knows about and can see about. I take my weekly schedule and I post it on the refrigerator. So that way my husband and all the kids, they see what's going on. And then I send my schedule to my clients so they can hold me accountable. And I also send it to my team members as well. And then remember, no errands, no trivial work in the crucial 8 to 10 hours of the workday, at least for the 5 days a week, because it is so easy to get bogged down and to lose track of time when we're just doing those trivial, running errands that aren't making us money. And then make sure that we're really thinking of our calendar like a high school schedule. So, in high school, we always think of, at the end of the hour, they had the bell. Think of it the same way. And maybe you need to do it in 30-minute lots of time where we're focused on one activity for 30 minutes and then we switch to the next. Or maybe it's 60 minutes. For some people, it could be 2 hours, whatever the case may be. Everybody's going to be different. But no matter what you do in life and no matter what life throws at you, we just have to show up. This is your livelihood. Who depends on you? If not that, what's internal for you? It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to literally have it, planned out. And so if you can literally take pride in yourself and really just exceed expectations, that's all we can really ask for, isn't it? And so I have a fun little exercise I want us to do. Because Kimmy and I were talking, and I really want to try to keep this within an hour, and I want there to be some time for some questions, some Q&A. So, but one of my favorite fun little exercises is showing the power of perspective. So what I want you to do on the next slide, I want you to count the number of letter F's, like it's in Frank, and I'm going to give you about 5 seconds to do it. And then everybody's going to show me, raise your hands with the number, how many you think you saw. All right, are you ready? Here we go. Okay. Raise your hands. How many letter F's did you guys see? 3, 4, 5. 5, 6. Okay. Cammie's on it. There are 6. So why do I do this little silly exercise with you? Because it's all about the power of perspective. And the number one thing is just to show you that even though we all saw the same slide, we all had different answers. And my point is that you all saw the same presentation today. I'm speaking as one person, but you all pulled something different from it. And the other reason I show you is because the real answer is 6. And that's, you know, the reason why outside perspective is so important. Sometimes we don't see the things that are right in front of us. We're missing things. Sometimes the things that are right in front of us, we're not even seeing it. Hugh Jackman, the actor, he says, you know, a coach has a different perspective. Still to this day, the best have coaches because a coach can see what you can't see because you're in the forest and they're outside of it. And you guys can unmute yourself, but does anybody know, what do all these people have in common?
They all have coaches.
Greatness.
Yes, they all have coaches. Every single one of them do. So what I want to do really quickly is I want to be able to, you know, just have a couple minutes of Q&A. If you've got your camera off, go ahead and turn on your camera. But I would love to be able to answer some questions. I knew I threw a ton of information at you guys this morning. But questions, thoughts, comments, was this helpful?
I
What
have
do
a
you guys-
question.
Yeah.
So I'm Kelly with Flourish Columbus. Do you have a scheduling app that you recommend, or like that looked to me like an Excel spreadsheet? Are there things that you've had clients be successful with that you
Yes.
recommend?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that actually is the most easiest way is good old-fashioned Excel spreadsheets. Because what it does, we can do it on Outlook, but when Outlook dings that has a reminder, what do? We hit dismiss all, right? And so we never, you know, when you hit that dismiss all, it's like, okay, it's past now, we're done. But if you really take an Excel spreadsheet and you have to on Sunday or Friday afternoons plan everything out, it really creates intention. So there's some apps that clients have tried, but they haven't found one. We haven't found one that people were actually excited about. So right now we just like using good old-fashioned Excel spreadsheets. Sometimes technology isn't always our friend, and that's okay. Great question.
Kelly, I'm even more old school than Excel, because I have a notebook that each week I write the week and I write everything that has to be done. Because I'm also one of those people who likes to cross things off. So I take this, but then there are some days because I think, you know, most of us work in small organizations. So there's a lot for everyone to do. So I have, you know, 4 different areas that I work in. And so some days I'll even do a sticky note that says Tuesday, and then I'll write down everything that I need to get done on Tuesday. And I also have done the calendar time blocking, that I'll just put it on our internal calendar and I'll just say task, Cammie working on financials, and I'll just block the time. And then that way people know, okay, she's working on that, so don't bother her. And then there are times where I'll say, you know, do not interrupt, and there's other times that it's more flexible. So mine's not quite that Excel spreadsheet, but it works. It works for me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Time blocking, it's fabulous. Yes, Ruth.
So, hi. So I like to use my Google Calendar.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like to use it is because it's on my phone, it's on my iPad, it's easily accessible. I don't have all the details though. And that's one of the things I got from this, that actually the details matter. And so I need to remember to put those in there because I have in my head the details, but like some of those things I actually probably should put them. So I really got a lot from this. Thank you so much. I have a question. Okay, so I have two questions. So my first question is, if I wanted to do a spreadsheet and then incorporate it into my Google Calendar, would you recommend just putting the core things like what I have now, or just adding a few things that I've left out to my Google Calendar? Or would you recommend putting everything that's on the spreadsheet, like my whole entire plan?
Yeah, great question. So what I have found after coaching 9 years is keep the big rocks, right? If you think about Stephen Covey's rocks, pebbles, sand analogy, keep the big rocks, keep your appointments, keep, the prospecting time, keep like the big things, the big important things in your Google Calendar, but then create the schedule for everything else. And literally, I have by my desk, I have my calendar printed out in my Excel spreadsheet, and then it's on my refrigerator as well. And then I also keep it up in my Excel spreadsheet, like on my desktop. Like I can even show it to you here. Hold on, and it's kind of fun. And this is great actually for tax purposes, because you can literally remember, oh yeah, this is when I went this place and this is where I went here. And you can, the Excel spreadsheet, you can keep track. I've literally kept track on one Excel spreadsheet since 2019. So literally you can see on mine, and like every week is here at the bottom. And then I've got a basic week 1 and 3 and my 2 and 4. And then I've got, it was a client who was an Aflac agent. This was her schedule that I loved and I use as an example all the time. But I literally, my big ones are always on my Outlook, but all the details, like my morning routine and when I do yoga and all those stuff, I don't put in my Outlook.
Okay.
They stay in my Excel spreadsheet. Just the big things I keep in my Excel spread, in my Outlook, and then everything gets put into my Excel.
Thank you. That definitely makes sense. It looks better on the spreadsheet than in my brain. So the details look better on paper. So
yes. And do we keep to it 100% of time? Absolutely not. But if we don't have what we really want it to look like, then we're never going to be able to follow through. And so it's just what else can we do to be proactive? Does that make sense?
yes. I also have like a planner that is very detailed that I need to use too. I think that will also help me. But my last question before I go is, okay, life hit me really hard the end of 2000. What year did we just pass? I don't even remember it. 21. And so I didn't do my planning session. Now you all know when you have a business, that is like major. So here I am in 2022, flying by the seat of my pants, kind of doing things that I did last year, but I'm trying to like do, and it's just a mess. So how do you recover from not having that powwow session with yourself and your team? How do you like pick up back and get back to where you need to get to?
Yes, great question. I would highly recommend pick a time this week or ASAP to have that powwow session and to really do a good SWOT analysis, right? What are your strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the areas of opportunity for growth? And then what are my threats? What would stop me from growing in 2022? And really doing a good SWOT analysis of where you are in your business. So that way you can create new goals and new strategies for 2022. It's not too late to do it. So I would just highly recommend go ahead and get started as soon as possible. Great question. Here's mine. I also do a planner, because this one, it's called a commit 30, I guess. And they do a great job because they have fun things for like goal setting and different things that I love. And I'm such a girl when it comes to all this stuff. That this kind of keeps me track of where I am for my goals. What do I need to accomplish? And it's just a fun way for me to be able to do that. So everybody does things a little bit different. The question is, how are you going to do it? How are we going to be proactive? So great questions, Ruth. Who else? Anybody else got questions? We've had some really good ones.
Hi, Becca. This is Laura Martin. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year.
Hi.
I'm driving, so I'm sorry. I had to jump off. Anyways, I have something that I've used that kind of really helps you identify where you are, and it's a time analysis. Like before you do your planning, if you literally like track your own day, it helps you realize where you lose your time and when. Like, oh, I'll just check this Facebook person out. I'm going to call them. I want to learn a little something. And then an hour later, oh dear. So it really kind of puts things, it really helps identify what are time wasters, period.
Yeah, we call those it's a time awareness log, and we have our clients do it for 21 days.
Yeah.
Because, we can be really good for a week, and then the second week we're so with it, and the third week is actually the truth. And the truth comes out on that third week. So yes, you're absolutely right, Laura. It's super important. Yeah, if you don't know where you're wasting time, time awareness log would be really, really helpful. And so what I would love just to kind of do, so that way I know kind of how to help you guys best, is if you would, there's 4 ways that you guys can reach out. And so that way, if there's something I can do to help or be of service, or if you want to have a conversation, or if you want to say, hey, Becca, can I have your Excel spreadsheet and your time awareness log? That would be super helpful. Let me know. But if you are a leader or a business owner with a team of 3 or more, and you would love to do a free workshop, we've got over 16 different topics I can do those on. They're about an hour. And if it's something that you would love for your team, text me a 1. Or if you're part of another group or association that would love something along these lines for that would be great. 2 is, hey, I would love to know a little bit more about your business coaching and what that looks like. I would love just to be able to have a conversation. Or you could be a 3 where you were like, hey, let's do a workshop and I want to know more about coaching. Or a 4, hey, Becca, you're amazing. You're great. I'm crushing it. Let's just stay in touch. So if you can text me a 1, 2, 3, or 4, that way I know how to serve you best. And text me if you would love to have a conversation and you want to know more about, and you want a copy of the Excel spreadsheet and the time awareness log, so that way I can get it over to you. So that way I just know how to follow up with you guys best. And I think you guys should have my number still in the chat too, to be able to text me. So, but any other questions? These are all great questions.
What do you do if you don't complete an item in that week? Do you move it to the next week? Do you maybe break it up for the next week? But sometimes in our business, I put out a lot of fires, and what I had planned that morning doesn't get done at all. So how do you move it to make sure that it gets brought up? And if you're on a spreadsheet, how do you move the spreadsheet around to accommodate it?
So one big spreadsheet, you don't move it, because then it gets all confusing. So give me an example. What industry are you in, Alicia?
I'm in the staffing industry.
Oh, nice. Okay. So what you could do is have a set time in your day, the flex time. So that way, if something doesn't get completed in the morning, you've got time in the afternoon to complete those tasks at the end.
Okay.
So flex time is great. And sometimes people just need an hour flex in the day. Sometimes people need 2 or 30 minutes, but at least you can have time that, like, you know what, it's going to be okay. Cause at the end of the day, I've got some flex time.
Okay.
We also talk about in coaching something called ramp up and ramp down. Ramp up is the first thing in the mornings, before the day gets crazy, where we're checking emails, doing any last minute task, reviewing voicemails, text messages. Ramp down is the same way. So sometimes I've got clients who will do some of those tasks in the ramp down, like the last 30 minutes before they leave the day.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Absolutely.
Right. Does anybody else have any questions for now?
No.
No?
Thank you.
Okay.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
thank you, Becca. It was great. And we did record this, so I will send you all the recording later this afternoon. So if you missed something, you can go back and check that out. So with that, if you all have any other topics